The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. It seems like an awfully long time since we did a proper episode of this.
Yeah, well, I think both of us, between us, we've had so much going on.
Yes, it's
It's
been,
just. Luckily, people haven't missed anything because you've had interviews put out, and we've had other things going on. But it
yeah,
does seem like it's been a while.
it's been illnesses and other things and that sort of thing. So this week we have got some stuff. We are still catching up with stuff from the Romford Horror Film Festival.
Yes.
Um, and we've got two short films which we're going to sort of like talk about together. Um, and then there's two feature films, which the two feature films were left over from the Romford Horror Film Festival, and there may well be extra episodes to do with each of these, with interviews with the filmmakers as well. So to start off with, we have two short films from Brawling Badger Films, and these are called Knock Knock. The first one is the No Synth edition, and the second one is the Director's Special Cut.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. To be honest, apart from a couple of small parts, I really couldn't tell the difference between the two of them.
No, I had to sit there at one point on whether or not I clicked on the same link. But yeah, it's apart from a couple of odd little bits, it's there's not much really between them.
No, no. It's interesting because it starts off almost like it's an audio book because it starts off with sort of like a voiceover and not a lot actually happening.
Yeah.
And then the actual kind of action, if you call it that, action starts and it works. It's an interesting idea. And although I'm not sure I fully understood what it was all about.
No, I had that as well. I've watched this. I actually watched these a couple of times just to see whether or not because the first time I watched it, I wasn't quite happy with it. I wasn't in the right headspace. So I thought, maybe it's just wasn't paying attention. So I went back and watched it, and I genuinely sat there. And it's really it was really weird because it's one of the few films that I've watched where I've watched it and gone, I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's not been the fact that I've sat there and gone, I haven't got a clue what's going on. This is boring the life out of me. It's I haven't got a clue what's going on, and I want to know why I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so it was sort of it was a good confusion, if that's a makes
Yeah, I mean,
sense.
I think the idea behind it is quite interesting, but I'm not totally sure I understood exactly what it was all about. I
Yeah,
think the other thing with it is it's a bit disjointed and
yeah,
odd the way it's kind of put together and edited, and I'm not really sure I kind of got what they were trying to do with it.
yeah. I think
But the interesting thing for me is the fact that a lot of the stuff they do is quite um it's more kind of comedy based, and this is a lot more serious than their other
yeah.
stuff.
This was saying. I went through and I looked at some of their other stuff, and I thought it was quite interesting the fact that, like you said, a lot of their stuff is comedy based or there's humor factors to it, and this seems like a very serious. I don't want to say down to earth, but a quite serious, straightforward like piece. So like a lot different from what their other bits are.
Yeah,
And I think whether or not that con that sort of added to the sort of I don't know not knowing fully what was going on because it was maybe it was a bit of it out of their sort of comfort factor as well. But as I said, other than that, I enjoyed it because I sat there at the end of it and like I had no idea what was going on, but I was happy to rewatch it and to see whether or not I could pick up on bits later on, and then I
Yeah,
rewatch it again to see if I've missed bits. So it's a confusing film for me, but it's not one not for me personally. It's not one I got tired of watching because
yeah.
I was picking up bits as I went along, and then when I rewatched it, I then picked up a bit more, and I still don't fully understand what was going on. But
I think it just for me it needed a bit more of a kind of linear story line, a sort of like a story that kind of went. It kind of jumps about a bit, and way it's edited, and it just makes it a bit confusing as to what it's actually
yes,
trying to say and what it's going on. But it's
yeah,
not a bad film. It's not a bad idea.
no, it's not. It's a very unique idea, I think, as
Yeah,
well. But I don't know. It's just it's maybe obviously it's might be one of the films that makes sense to them, and it's sort of
yeah,
meant to sort of leave people with questions. But I don't know. It's just really weird for me.
yeah, yeah. But hey, I mean, as we've said before, I give everybody kudos for actually making something and putting it out there, because it takes a lot to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the first of our feature films. This, as I say, was one that I didn't get to see at the Romford Horror Film Festival, and it's a film it was made last year, 2024, and it is a film called Staycation. This is Russ M Productions, it's filmed by Russ Emanuel. It's also in association with Alien Donut Films and Bad Bob Productions and One More Picture Show. Um,
This week we've just got a sort of factor of the fact that they've all got weird names.
yeah, this is let's see, it's a comedy horror sci-fi thing. The synopsis or summary for this says. As a candid interview carries on between the country's leading virologist and a no-nonsense journalist, college roommates deal with the daily struggles of a global pandemic, and a couple separated between continents play catch up. The director is Russ Emanuel, writer is Emil Harris. The main cast is Olivia Darbo, Kelly Maroney, Lauren Landon, Sean Kenny, Mercedes Peterson, Elaine Dietz, and Trace Coco.
Mm,
Um, Now this is obviously a COVID
yeah,
based sort of film, and it was like I saw one which was a COVID thing, which was Psychopomp, which is a very different sort of film to this. Um, and it's kind of, but it does have elements of the same sort of thing because this is a kind of a mix between Zoom call type things and TV shows and adverts and things like that.
yes.
Um, Now, there's some really good effects in this, I thought,
Mhm.
and some very good editing. Um, it- would you say it's a kind of zombie apocalypse type film or not?
Um, I don't know. I say it could be classed, but I think this is one going to be one of the ones that's it's. I think it's down to personal preference.
Mm,
Really, it could be the post-apocalyptic one. It could be zombie apocalypse one. It could be a number of things. But I think it really is down to personal preference. And I don't, me personally, I don't think it is. But I think that's because I've watched a lot more where it's. a lot more zombie apocalypse films where it is a lot more in your face with it.
A lot more, yeah, it's a lot more obvious that you got zombies running around.
Yeah, you actually
Um,
see them ripping people up and stuff. That is what I would class as a zombie apocalypse film, not just
yeah.
the whole suggestiveness of it.
But I mean, I thought the acting was pretty good in this. I thought they did very well with it.
I see. I did, but there were certain parts where, for me, I don't know if it was just I don't know. Maybe it's I was reading too much into it, but some of the chemistry was a bit off. I would say, and I know that's a bit hard to do over Zoom and to do via things like that, but to have that bond, I'd say, with someone that you're doing Zoom with over like this,
Mm.
that non. I don't know. There were times where it just sort of you could feel that there wasn't an actual bond, if you know what I mean. There
Yeah,
wasn't sort of it was just a script. But I
yeah, I
just
know what
said
you mean.
there were only a few odd little bits like that, and that is me nitpicking.
I mean, the only thing for me is it says it's a comedy, horror, sci-fi. I got some of the comedy, but there were some bits that I wasn't sure whether it was supposed to be, whether they were trying to make it comedy or whether it was just me not understanding, just thinking wasn't working very well, or I don't
I
know.
think I think there were parts of it that is very selective humour. I think you've
Yeah,
got to have the right sense of humour, really, or the right mindset to pick up on it and to see it as
and
humour. But
there were some parts of it that I did think were quite funny.
yes,
Um, but it was, I think it's a difficult sort of film to make because of the fact that it is so um, cut up in a way. Because you have got bits of it that are parts of this interview, you've got bits of it that are parts of other TV shows or ads, you've got parts of it that are people on Zoom calls. So
yes.
it's a bit
Uh,
difficult to edit all of that together and make it flow
yeah, I
in the
will
end.
say the parts on the Zoom call where there's multiple people, I will say must have taken some feet because, as we know, when we've done it's just us two, and even sometimes when we've been interviews, there are outlying factors in the background or in the environment you're in when you're in there
Yeah,
that can screw up that. So to be able to have multiple people on Zoom calls in different places and have to flow with that, it looking like the actors were getting pissed off with doing the same scene.
yeah,
Then I think that looked really good because obviously you know as well as I do that doing the same thing over and over again, you get to the point where you're like, I just don't want to do this anymore, and it sort of
yeah,
shows no matter how much you hide it. But I think doing it this Zoom call, like they did it on that, I think to have the fact that they had that many people on there without the cars going off in the background or someone knocking on the door or the phone ringing, and I think that's like obviously really well done and really the fact that they've had that time and the commitment to do it.
yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, it's that's what I was saying. I think that's why I was saying about the acting being good. I think that they worked really well with that sort of thing. I think for me, I didn't think it was a bad film. I thought it was a good film, and at the end of it, I was quite enjoyed the fact that I
Yes,
watched it. I just think for me, because it was so um, split into so many different bits, there were a few times where that kind of detracted from the whole from the film as a whole for me.
I think if they'd stuck to one sort of like filming aspect, so if they'd just done Zoom bit or if they'd just done the interview, like sort of TV interview sort of bit where they were talking about, I think would have made it fit a bit better because there were so many ideas to get the information over thrown in. Is what makes it sort of feel like it's all over the place.
Yeah, but I mean, it works, but it's just just my personal thing. I just found it a bit too broken up.
Yeah,
But it's a good idea and it's a good story, and I think they did really well to make it.
yeah, and
Um, and
the
I,
fact that like we said, the quality of it, I would is amazing quality. The cinematography to it, and the effects, and the actual visual look of what it looks like. It doesn't look awful to watch it. Like, it doesn't look like it's been filmed on certain things, where, and
Yeah,
it looked like it had some money behind it, and I think it's really well done.
yeah. No, I agree. I think it was a really well made film. Um, and let's say all the best to them and all that sort of thing. We
Yes.
may be able to talk to the to filmmaker, maybe to Russ Emanuel or whoever, about the film at some point. Okay. The second feature film is also one that I didn't get to see at the Romford Horror Film Festival. This is from Relic Events, and it's a film called All This Time. Um, this the director and writer of this is Rob Worsey. The cast is Emily Rose Holt, Daniel DeBorg, Emma Pallant, I can't read my own writing, Darcy Brown, Dean Michael Gregory, Michaela Schultz, Luke Lindemann, Lindsay Crane, and Oakley Blake Walker. And the synopsis or summary for this says, trapped inside a Gothic mansion in an endless time loop, Grace must unlock the secrets of the house, the enigmatic owner, and the previous night's party to find any hope of escaping and returning to her normal life and young child. So, what did you think?
Um, I like I like this idea. It's weird. It's weird. This is the sound so hypocritical now. I don't like time travel films. Don't like it, but when it's a time loop, a supernatural time loop, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
I like them type of films. I like the fact that there's a an entity or something behind it. It's not, oh, we've got to hit a button and go back, because that's
the
just stupid.
thing, the thing for me is, there was a thing that make it feel like it was a time loop, but then there was a thing later where it didn't seem like it actually was a time loop
Yeah,
because time had been moving on.
yeah. It's seemed like a sort of a contained time loop, so it was only within the house.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Is what makes me think it was a sort of supernatural one. But
yeah.
so the cinematography to it again, I feel was really good. The some of the camera angles in it were, for me, was a bit weird, but I don't know. I like these ideas. I like the idea behind this.
Mm.
It the problem is for me, I suppose, again, it's not a unique idea. As much as that sounds bad, it's a very good idea, and I like the way they pulled it off. But it's not the uniqueness of it,
Right.
if you get what I mean. Because it's again, it's the whole you've got to defeat it to go out, like the whole someone's trapped. They've got to follow what's going on to get back to their family or loved ones or whatever. It's not sort of
Yeah. I know that. Yeah, I know what you mean by that. But I think that I don't think I've seen one done this like this.
no, not exactly this way. I would say, but I,
Um,
I like the idea. I'm just saying, I like the way that they portrayed it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the cinematography, as you say, was good. I like I mean, the setting I thought was really great.
Yeah,
The house itself and that was
yeah. The
fantastic.
location was amazing.
Yeah. What I did like was there was a lot of use made of natural sounds and silence. No, no music
Yes.
behind things. But when there was music, it worked really well. The soundscaping worked really well with and
Yeah.
that to dramatize places and to build up atmosphere and all that kind of thing. That was I thought was really well done.
Yeah. I
And
I
I
think.
think that
Sorry, go on.
sorry, the use of like of having no music and that sort of thing, it kind of adds to the oddness of the film because you're so used to having
Yeah,
music and things behind it.
I think as well though that I think goes hand in hand with the location
Yeah,
as well. I think that that's the perfect matchup they've got there, because if they'd done it so just in a normal, I don't know, apartment block or a normal flat, it wouldn't have gone as well with the whole atmosphere and the silence. But
Mm.
working in that building setting works so well, and I think the same. The match up there they done of it was really well done, really well done.
Yeah, yeah. I think, I I think it was a really well made film, really well acted. I think the acting was fantastic.
Yes,
All of the actors were really good. Um, it's quite a slow film, but
it's,
it's interesting, so it keeps your attention and you don't feel like you're getting
yeah.
bored with it.
I was gonna say it's a slow film, but I sat there at one point and I was like, it feels like it's gone on for a long time, but it wasn't sort of like a bad way. And then when I watched it, I was like, I sort of looked how long it'd been on for, and I'm like, it's not actually been on for that long. It felt like, I think because of the way it's portrayed, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it sucks you in, so you feel like it's happening.
I think that for me, one of the things I would say is it kind of it's slow and but it's interesting and you get to a I think they've managed to find a way. If you get to a point where you're starting to think, oh, okay, we've been over this before, this is all going and it's all going on a bit and that sort of thing, and then something changes,
Yes,
and you're then in a slightly different place in the story, and it's kind of like, oh, hang on, okay, and it
I
keeps you interested, it keeps your attention.
think what I liked about this as well, and I do this with these type of films before, is the fact that I find myself, obviously I've watched it once before right through, and I already watched it, and then I found myself watching bits in the background as well, and the bits that probably aren't meant to be focused on as much, but
Mm.
are then the easy things to slightly modify so then it flows better to say this is what's gone on to get to here where you are. There's a cup's been moved, that's why you can move on.
Yeah, yeah,
And I like the fact, and I found myself doing that, and I realised that there were little bits, whether or not it was meant to happen or not, but it was little bits that sort of I sat there like, hang on, was that in the same place? Or was that exactly the same way? Or was that done? And I sat there and like, "Do you know, it really pulled me in.
and
And it's been a while since that's happened.
what I did like about it as well was that there were a few twists which weren't, I wouldn't say they were 100% unexpected, but they happened at a time when I wasn't expecting them to happen.
Yeah,
And the main twist at the end of it, I kind of wasn't expecting.
yeah, no, I get what you're saying with that because I, especially on the sort of first time watching it, I was sitting there and I thought to myself, okay, something's going to happen. It was that feeling you get when
Yeah,
you're watching it. I was like, something's going to happen, and it didn't. I was like, okay, and then the feeling that I had and the thoughts I had going, oh, this is going to happen. When it sort of happened a bit later, and I was like, oh, hang on, that and it threw me off a bit.
yeah,
And I really understand that's why I enjoyed watching this because it was the unexpected the expectable unexpected
yeah,
twists the sort of you expect them to happen but not where they happen.
yeah, yeah. And I just thought it was really good. I think it's a very good idea, a very interesting idea.
Yes,
And
as
I
I say,
think they made it really well, and
yeah,
it worked really well. And I can see why. I mean, this has won a couple of awards at Romford, and I can
yeah, well,
totally understand why, having watched it now.
yeah,
I would quite like to have seen it on the big screen in Romford, to be honest. But
well,
you know,
to
these
be
things,
yeah,
you
to be
know,
honest, I was saying I agree with you. Watching this, I understand why it was why not only why it won some of them, but why it was nominated for winning the award. It was a great film, and it's a credit to them, to the people that made it.
absolutely, absolutely, definitely an interesting film and definitely worth a watch.
Yes,
Okay, so there we go. We've got two short films, Knock Knock, for Broadway Badger Films, which I would suggest you go and watch because,
it's one. I think they're the films that you need to watch to understand.
yeah,
No, not even understand, but you need to watch to understand where we're coming from. We can describe it down to a T. But you'll know it's not going to be one of the ones you can go. Oh, I know exactly what they're talking about now.
Yeah.
You've got to watch.
And we've got Staycation, which at the moment I think is Staycation and all this time is still on festival run. So they're not going to be available for you to watch in full at the moment unless you get to go to see them at a festival. But I am sure they will be up at some point on a streaming platform or somewhere. As I say, we do hope to have interviews with the filmmakers of both of those films at some point, and we can discuss with them then about the future of the films.
Yeah,
So there you go. Thank you very much, Scott.
it's okay. I'm glad that we'll be back to doing this and some sort of normality.
Next episode, we will be doing three short films, which two of them are films that I didn't get to see at the Romford Horror Film Festival, but they were
Yes.
there. And the third short film is actually one that was listed to be shown, but never actually got shown at the Romford Horror Film Festival because due to a technical glitch, they showed the wrong film. And there is a feature film which I didn't get to go and see at Romford, which we'll be reviewing next time as well.
Yep.
And then there will be, as I say, catch-ups with the filmmakers of these two feature films we reviewed today, and the feature film that we will be reviewing next time. And that will then be us caught up with Romford Horror Film Festival for this year. And we can move on to other things.
Yes.
So thank
Gonna
you,
be
Scott, for your input and views as always.
okay. I'm glad that I could do it, and so it was enjoyable to watch these films because see with stuff going on, I never made it to the film festival. So to be able to watch these films as
Yeah,
well and see the ones that were up for nominations and ones that won awards and ones that had the opportunity to be there, I'm glad that we get to do it.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I've got to say. There is another extra episode of the Sci-Fi Film podcast with interview with the maker of the film L'Enfant or The Child, which will be out in about the 7th of April.
Oh,
So look out for that. And all that kind of thing.
yes.
So thank you very much for tuning in, joining us, and dropping out and dropping guts and um, notching up and notching down and rattling round and no idea. Uh, until next time, yeah, bye.
Bye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.